Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, friends of Japanese prints. I'm Dieter, and I'm the manager and owner of the Artelino company. My little company sells Japanese prints in weekly online auctions, and we produce these videos about Japanese prints. The title of today's video is Utamaro, Original or Reproduction. Well, I want to give you a few simple indicators how you, without being an expert, can recognize an Utamaro, whether it's a reproduction or an original. So this video is not for high-level experts. Well, many are today fascinated by Japanese prints, but only few have the knowledge and the capability to evaluate old Japanese prints. The question is always, what is it? Who is the artist? And especially, what is the value? And the value depends a lot on whether it's an original, especially old originals by such masters like Utamaro, or is it a reproduction, a cheap reproduction? For those who don't know anything about Utamaro Kitagawa, he was the master of beautiful women. Well, you see here a triptych by him. And he died in 1806, so more than 200 years old. That means an original today has quite an age. Before we come to the point how you can recognize original or reproduction, I want to discuss a few other aspects. First of all, what is an original? Well, old Japanese prints, they were produced from wooden blocks. Therefore, they are called woodblock prints. Yeah, and you had to carve one block for the so-called outlines or key lines. When you look at that, there you see the arm. Yeah, that is a thin line, and the first block just carves these outlines, and then you have to carve one block for each color. When Utamaro lived, well, then he created his prints with 4 or 5 different colors. So for an Utamaro print, you had to carve 4, 5, 6 wooden blocks. However, the number of copies that you could create, that you could pull from these blocks, that is limited. Wood shrinks underwater and it wears off. And there are guesses, well, from that you can pull between 2,000 and maybe 8,000, maybe even 10,000 copies from the original blocks, but then you have to recarve new blocks if you want to continue to print the same design. Or another reason for making new blocks, the old ones were destroyed by fire, for instance. Well, the old Edo, the old name for Tokyo, saw frequent fires, and well, then you had to recarve. What is a reproduction? A reproduction is always a print that is pulled from such a recarved block. Well, the technical terms are recarved or recuts, or in Japanese there's a word and it's called fukoku. So remember, original always from the original blocks, and reproductions from newly carved blocks. And these newly carved blocks that may have been made at the end of the 19th century or in our days, yeah. And unless other techniques are used, the reproductions from woodblock prints, they are handmade, yeah, handmade. But it doesn't mean, handmade doesn't mean original, yeah. It's a handmade reproduction. Before I come to my point, how to recognize, another aspect, value consideration. So what's the price of an original and what's the price of a reproduction in the market? An original Utamaro costs at least $1,000, and from $1,000 upwards, several $1,000s, not unusual. It depends on the condition and it depends on the attractiveness of the subject and a few other factors. Reproductions start with a price of, let's say, $50, $100, okay, even $150 are still okay. But when it goes beyond $200 for a reproduction, it may be overpaid, yeah. Another aspect, let's say you accumulate a collection of Japanese prints. When you have a collection of original Utamaros, you can always sell them, and always, depending on condition, for a good price, or you can consign them to an auction house. When you have a collection of reproductions and you want to sell them, that's a little bit a problem. Because you will see dealers in Japanese prints, they are not interested in buying your reproductions, and also auction houses, and artelino doesn't make an exception. They are not interested in taking your collection of reproductions. So keep this in mind, yeah. Well, this said, there's the question, is there any reason to buy reproductions at all, yeah? There is, yeah. They look nice, they have fresh colors, they are handmade, and you don't have any worries about preservation. Hang them on the wall, enjoy them, yeah. It's a decorative product, and it's, in straight words, a reproduction is a consumer product, yeah. You enjoy it for 20 years, and this was it, but it's not a product for investing your money in. If the preservation of the value of your money, of your investment, is of importance for you, well, then buy originals. Okay, Dieter, now you should come to the point. You promised to tell us, okay, indicators how to recognize an original Utamaro from a reproduction. It comes now, okay. Well, as an introduction, basically to wrap it up, I want to start with one sentence. An original Utamaro always looks more or less crummy. Yeah. Let's take an example. Okay, here you see two originals, and well, you see, you can hardly recognize the colors. Yeah. I said crummy, and I said three indicators. Well, the first one is condition. An original has always smudges, holes in the paper, repairs, maybe frayed margins or anything like that. The second factor are colors. Original Utamaro always have faded out colors like these examples, or I give you two more. Let me see. Yeah, this was originally green. Yeah, and at the time of Utamaro, when they were printed fresh, the colors were as fresh and strong as today's reproductions. And why are they now so faded out? At the time of Utamaro, late 18th century, early 19th century, natural colors were used, also called vegetable colors. Yeah? And these colors, these pigments, they were generated from plants or from minerals. And they have the character of fading out, especially in the influence of sunlight, fade out and turn into an undefined brownish, yellowish, greenish accumulation of colors. Reproductions, on the other side, they are produced with synthetic colors, aniline colors, and they have no problem or hardly any problem of fading out. They look fresh. They are resistant to fading. Finally, last indicator, the paper. Original Utamaros are always made with a very thin, soft paper that may even have a little bit a brittle impression. I mean, imagine original is 200 years old, roughly. Yeah? Well, after 200 years, I do not look fresh anymore. Yeah, nor will you. Yeah, so brittle impression, thin paper, very soft. That paper for the originals that was made by hand is also called horseshoe paper. Reproductions, on the contrary, are made with a thick and stiff paper, especially when it was made during the Edo period, late 19th century, early 20th century, and many reproductions were made during this period. So remember, 3 factors: general condition, looks crummy; original, looks perfect; reproduction, colors, fresh, brilliant colors; reproduction, colors faded out; original; and paper, thick, soft, thin, soft paper; original; thick, stiff paper; reproduction. Let's have a look. Now you saw a few originals. Now let's look at reproductions. You see strong red, yeah? This can never be an original. Fresh colors. At the time of Utamaro, yeah, because the colors had not yet faded out then, these originals 200 years ago, they most probably looked pretty much like today's reproductions, by the way. Yeah? But I don't want to encourage you to buy reproductions. If you want to preserve your money, originals are the better choice. And here 2 more, also reproductions, you see, rather distinctive colors, fresh. Okay, we've come to the end. Thanks for your patience. I hope I could get my message a little bit across and you enjoyed it especially. And if you like our videos, you can subscribe to our channel on YouTube and take a look at our website, artelino.com, every now and then. And have a nice week, and thanks for watching.